Hi guys, I will show you now how to make this kind of illustrations or sketches, compositional sketches using Blender and Photoshop or whatever overpainting tool you are using. But I think it's really cool idea or cool way to generate fast and easy, rather cool looking images. They are literally just straight renders from Blender, and then I just added photos of stars or planets in the background, and as you can see, and I think this looks quite cool. Maybe, of course, it's not final product, but in terms of, for example, if you are working on keyframes for animation or illustrate or movies, or you are working on your project, and when you send this kind of sketches to client, it's enough for starting conversation. And then of course you can, if they choose one, or let's say we have a brief for illustration, for concept art, or for some series of keyframes that, you know, we have astronauts that are exploring the wreckage of a spaceship or some battle station. Let's imagine maybe this is destroyed Death Star, and some scavengers are looking for some artifact or scavenging, just, you know, for some resources. So okay, let's go to the Blender. Here we are in the Blender. So I have here my scenes that I used in my renders. As you can see, these are the compositions. Okay, so we have these compositions, and in the Blender we can start to, for example, think how we can use it. For example, we can think that here is maybe some kind of character walking. Maybe here is his opponent with, I don't know, sword. Maybe these are the Jedi and Sith, or some other cool stuff fighting. And you can even inside the Blender, you can start to think about how to, you know. Okay, I must destroy this annotation. What to do with your composition, your illustration. So I can now very quickly, I will not explain everything, but still something. So here we are in the scene. This is just one asset, one ruins blob, let's say. Okay, so I will show you how it looks in this isolation, because we have seen. Here is the 3D some mess I have created in 3D code, because in 3D code you can easily just sculpt or import some planes and make cool ruins. But for this kind of I don't know, asset, you can use any software, even Blender, so you can probably make quick easy cubes, Control J, then apply some texture on top of it. We have a texture, some random metal texture from Sketchfab, I guess. And we can now play with, for example, how I approach this method. I want to generate something. For example, I don't have idea. I just want to make some cool compositions. Let's focus on compositions. So for example, in some previous videos, okay, so here are I made some really quick black and white compositions, okay, something like this, and like this. This is the other, we can add some background and planes with grayscale. But how we can move further from this kind of quick sketches and make something more presentable or more realistic to work on, and then we can explore it for illustration. It depends on your style and how far you want to push it, because when we have chosen composition, we can, for example, I can choose this frame. Let's say, I don't know which one is it. Let's say we have this frame. Okay, let's say this is this frame. Now, okay, I have chosen this frame, and now I can probably or render it in better quality or add some more interesting details here. For example, I can make some models that are more, you know, detailed, and you can plan where you want to put them. But for now, we can focus on how to set up this idea and how to play with the composition making in the Blender. We can treat it as sketchbook, as something that we are playing with camera. We have one simple light. We have fog, of course, to make it more cinematic, more cool, because without fog it looks like not much. But here we have depth, and we have something. And I'm using for now, this is Eevee, because Eevee is cool. We want always, when you are playing with Eevee on the Blender, we want always to tick ambient occlusion, probably 2 meters. I don't know, bloom is okay, it makes bloom, so maybe not this big, but whatever. Depth of field, I don't know. Space subsurface scattering, I don't know, maybe we can play with it, I don't know. Space screen reflection, it helps with reflection. Volumetrics, we want to tick volumetric lighting, volumetric shadows, high quality normals. And I don't know, probably film. Film is something that we want sometimes use when we want to have up alpha, because for now, when I have world in the shader editor, I'm having I can choose what kind color of the background, so I can make it really dark, so we can play with the mode of our overall atmosphere or illustration, because we can now make it more like, I don't know, in some kind of different scenarios of space or location that we are in. So yeah, so we can have fun with it also. Okay, so first of all, we have this kind of asset that I showed you. Now, now one thing I want to show you is really cool to use is the method of walking or flying in the Blender, that we can play with camera and search for really cool compositions, how to enable it. So we go to the edit preferences, and in the preferences we go to navigation. In the navigation we want to have walk, view navigation, and walk is just randomly probably some numbers. We don't want to tick the gravity, so we have this walk, and we are in the viewport. So okay, so we are in the viewport, and we press shift and the tilde sign. So I will show this sign on the keyboard, so shift plus this, and we are flying, and we can fly through the using WSAD, like in the game. Shift, you can speed up, so, and you can, you know, use mouse as navigation to vertical, like in the spaceship or whatsoever. So so yeah, so next thing, when we press N in the Blender, we want to have camera to view. Normally when we have, I'm here in the camera, so we can press 0 on the numpad, 0, we are inside the camera, and we are, if we are not in the camera, we are like flying here. Okay, so if we have this toggled and we press 0, and now I move, we can see that camera is not moving with us. So depends on your I changed the camera. Well, okay, no, so it depends on what we want. So other thing that I can we can have, we press home and it makes camera full screen. It's for the recording purposes. But for example, if I am now inside the camera, I want to toggle off the camera to view, and now I zoom out. Okay, so now I zoom out. Now you can see we have small window And now I can camera to view, and let's see. Here is we can easily navigate and look for cool compositions with this, because if something is small like thumbnail, we can I don't know, look for general shapes, general lights, general forms, and so on, and we can tweak them, of course. For example, if we have something like that, we can play with it inside this in our setup. So the whole point of the of this method, of this way of sketching or preparing your images inside the Blender is just, you know, set up your camera, set up the fly mode, and now I can press Shift tilde, and now I can fly with the camera on this zoomed out mode. For the sake of our video, we will be in the full screen mode. So here, you know, here you can see I am flying with the camera, and now let's say I like this composition. I can, for example, duplicate something here, rotate it in the Blender. So rotation in Blender, in this case, it's you press R and you can free rotate it. But well, let's say I have this plane, this asset is, I want to duplicate it, so I press Shift D, G, X, for example, or Y, and if we press G, so it's for moving, and press Y for it moves in Y-axis, so it only moves. So you can you don't have to worry that it will be like not right. So then you can G and, for example, R rotate, and Y, for example, or Y or Z, whatever. So it sticks to the axis that we want to manipulate. So okay, so here is first camera, here is second. So when we have we like this scene, for example, and you can see, oh, okay, this is cool. I can now imagine that I want my main hero. We can have our heroes or something happening here. So here is our hero. He's standing in the edge. Maybe some other things are going towards him, maybe zombies, or I don't know, and he's preparing to fight them. We can we can plan our illustrations. So for example, we want something to block this view. So okay, so probably I can now duplicate it and play with our pieces of composition, and now, as you can see, we can make it more framed and so on and so on. So okay, let's move out. Let's move to the next keyframe, or next frame, or next composition we are planning to do, because it's really cool to make it in batches, like 10 or whatever number you like. So for another thing cool that we want to, so for example, we have this camera, we have 25 millimeters. Control C, Control V, wait a minute, Control C, Control V, and the camera is copied below. So now, again, Shift tilde, and now I can fly. Maybe I want to explore other interesting areas for our composition. Maybe, I don't know what we see here, some windows, okay, so maybe I can imagine it's or it's ruins, or here is some guys are looking down, something is happening, or they are like on this rope and descending from the hatch of a ship that is blasting its lights to, and they are exploring these ruins or this spaceship that is destroyed. So yeah, so again, here are the cameras. I can move with my composition, because now you can manipulate. You can use mouse and your pressing Shift and middle wheel. You can hover. You can look for perfect match, for perfect composition to make it cool. And in the using this anode thing, you can plan your drawings. Maybe he's like standing here. Of course, I don't know why maybe he's climbing with his friend. There we can see, for example, there is a spaceship. Let's say we have spaceship or some probe that we have the light, so they are exploring, and the other, let's say, pirates came here and they want to kill our heroes. So you can make storytelling some kind of ideas with this method. So I'm focusing on the space ruins, but of course it works for everything. This idea, this method of work. So for example, we have some compositions, and okay, so here I have placed one light. It's area light, 2000 watts, and we can now, of course, we can manipulate the light, and for example, we can play with our shapes, our points of interest with light. What else? I can change it to sun. It's too much, maybe. Okay, everything exploded, so this is like, oh man, the sun destroyed. And so yeah, this is the method, and I really like using it a lot. So for example, now you have this compositions. You can now press F12. You are rendering it now. We are rendering. I hope nothing crashes. So okay, so you have render. We have our passes: mist pass, normal pass, and diffuse. Okay, nothing. So how you can put, you must check these passes, and then you will have it on the render. So yeah, so and as you can see, we can play with the focal length. We have many interesting, some happy accidents. We can look for some interesting places that normally, when playing with this kind of mess, we wouldn't even imagine that we can have this kind of cool thing, because it's more like sketching phase. You can use it for or final results, or for your really sketchy phase of something. Because now I can go to Photoshop, for example, and I can decide maybe this is let's say maybe this is ruins. Okay, so here we have, for example, astronauts walking, small people walking here, or it can be, for our next illustration, it can be some kind of space station. We can add some structures. Maybe this is a ship or something, and the ships are flying here, so it's enormous, and maybe our hero is arriving here on his ship or her ship, going here. Here we can have some kind of antennas or some stuff, and we can make it inside this, I don't know, nebula or something. So it's really versatile way of sketching or making your illustrations. So okay, now we have it, and of course we can play with the mood. We can switch colors. We can go dark with it. We can go light, and there is like the sky is the limit. But probably the best way to start is to make one light and maybe explore the idea. Or if you don't have idea, it's really cool to think to start it just like, playing with the composition, the camera, zooming out, zooming in, looking for something interesting. And one of my last thing, it's obvious, but maybe you don't know obvious. Well, it's really simple. We create cube in Blender, so mesh cube, and then we go to the shader editor. We delete everything without the material output, and then we create principled volume, Shift A, volume scatter. Okay, so this is more advanced, but I use volume scatter more often. So here is volume scatter, density. I don't even know what I'm looking. So 0.02, because it's too much sometimes. And you can see now, and okay, so here we are. Maybe I can make it more dense. Okay, look, now it's cool. It's very dense, but it changes our atmosphere dramatically. So we can play with this kind of atmosphere with this volumetric fog. It's really cool. So we can make something really strange. You can see now that we have this kind of platform and something is happening here. So it's very abstract way of working, but then later we can oh, look, this is cool. I saw this like some generator and something, and here, for example, this small ship that is flying away from it or going towards it. So we can have some kind of storytelling, and so yeah, sky is the limit in this case. So I'm not saving it. So when you have your renders, if then you can or leave them with, because we have fog and background, or you can just go to Photoshop. You can export it with this film with opacity, and then you can add some overpaint to it. So basically backgrounds, add some figures, and you can just look how it's going, what to explore next. So here, for example, it looks like they are going on the cables from this ship that is behind the fog, behind the mass, and we can probably in our final illustration explore the ship, the storytelling, and then we can make some adventures of these explorers, how they are going through this mission. So yeah, so it's really nice. So you need only one asset, sometimes 2 or 3, and then you can play with lights, with fog, with composition, and this is really cool. So this is the starting point. You are just sitting in Photoshop or in your Procreate, making small frames. You want to be in the distance. I really like this way. So you make small selection, and then you use broad brush or a small brush, and then try to fill the composition. Then the next step could be adding some grayscale, so we can make this depth of field. So yeah, and then I was thinking how to mix it with the 3D, because 3D is very helpful to make something in the space, in really this crazy angles, and this is how it can be done. So you can make these sketches further or use the same principle of thinking, because this is more like sketching idea, very quick and dirty, and then this is something that we can work, or we can explore it in 3D more, or we can go to Photoshop and paint over it, and just we have something done. So yeah. So I think that's it for this recording. So thanks again for watching, and please subscribe, and I hope you liked it, and have a great day.